Hello and welcome to Asia Rugby. The World Cup Sevens will kick off on 9th September in Cape Town. Four Asian teams will be playing, of course, Hong Kong and South Korea men, and Japan and China women will be playing in this competition. I'm joined with Paul John, who's the head coach of Hong Kong Sevens team. No stranger for Hong Kong Rugby. He's been in the system for a long time. Paul, good to have you on the show. And could you tell us how is Cape Town treating you?
Yeah, it's thanks for the invite. Yeah, we've been in Cape Town for a couple of days. We were in Stellenbosch for 2 weeks prior to that because we didn't return to Hong Kong after the Challenger Series. Obviously, there's quarantine situations in Hong Kong, so it was better for us to stay away and go to a camp in Stellenbosch on the way to coming to Cape Town. We checked into the hotel yesterday and we trained twice today, once in the gym, once on the field. Yeah, so we seem to settle into South Africa pretty well, really, over the last couple of weeks, and looking forward to getting going into the World Cup next Friday.
Wonderful. That's some good experience, especially in South Africa. Let's go back to South America, the World Rugby Challenger Series you were mentioning about. But stunning performance, without a shadow of a doubt. Out of six games, you all won four. In a game of sevens, we know that margin for error is very little or very small. We lost to Uganda. In fact, we lost to Georgia and Tonga. Very close games. How disappointed are you with that?
Yeah, look, overall, we reflect on it and we're disappointed because we had an opportunity. Obviously, we had a tough game against Tonga in the group, which was a very physical game, and that could have gone either way. And then in the knockout quarterfinals, we had Georgia, and we had enough opportunities really to have won that game and progressed further. And we just felt, and we've obviously chatted about it quite a few times as a team, as a management, as an environment, and we just felt as if we probably didn't fire our best shot for some reason. We didn't play our best rugby, and we probably played within ourselves for some reason on those at knockout stages. I think Tonga was always going to be a very physical game, as it proved to be. We didn't get very much possession, and unfortunately made a couple of errors and had a few turnovers in that game. And similar in the Georgia game, we didn't quite defend as we know we can, and we didn't attack as we know we can. It just looked as if a little bit was sort of too nervous about the result, possibly, and didn't as I say, didn't fire our best shot. Probably felt the pressure to perform, maybe, but we definitely didn't feel as if we did ourselves justice in that day two. And then going on to day three, when we played against a very good Uganda team, and we just played much more as we know we can. We played freely, we attacked with intent, we defended with a bit of aggression and everything. We looked a different side on day three, and maybe the nerves got the better of us on day two because we know how much what was on the line for us, and we just disappointed that we didn't quite fire our best shot. But the lucky thing is for all of us, we got a great competition to be involved in now in 5 days' time, 6 days' time. So in order to just maybe show what we can do on the stage, the boys have trained well over the last couple of days. Trained against South Africa twice while we were in Stellenbosch Academy of Sport, which was a fantastic environment for going away and training and being in a high performance environment. We were privileged to be a part of that. And then now we've been to come into Cape Town and trained a couple of times here. So yeah, it's getting exciting. Teams are starting to drift in. There's 40 teams going to be in a hotel. It's obviously a massive tournament, special to be a part of, and we've got to make sure we enjoy it and try and do ourselves justice and play to our full capability on the field on Friday.
Absolutely, indeed. In the World's Rugby Challenger Series, Hong Kong beat Zimbabwe twice, Jamaica and Uganda, and lost to Tonga 5-12 and lost to Georgia 14-19. So close, those two games, in fact. Given that series in a holistic way, what are the positives that you take out of that, Paul?
Look, the positives are how we played on day one and day three, as we know we could and as we know we should. Sevens is a roller coaster from a coaching, playing point of view. As you all know, being involved in it, it's nothing is set in stone, nothing is guaranteed, and that's the beauty of the sport, and that's why it's watched by so many people and enjoyed by so many people. And any game can go either way, So the way we played against Uganda, on day three is how we want to play. You know, we play with intent and attack, and we play with aggression and sort of a bit of competition and a bit of desire in defence. And I think if we do that, it'll stand us in good stead whoever we play against. Not to be intimidated by anybody, and just to go out there and show what we can do and enjoy the whole experience and not have any regrets after it. And I think we had regrets after the Challenger Series, rightly so. And I just hope we do ourselves justice over the World Cup weekend. So there's lots of positives, lots of learnings, as there always is. At the moment, we only know one side that we are playing against because you don't know what way it's going to go afterwards. So it's great for us to be playing against Uruguay, the winners of the Challenger Series a few weeks ago. So we at the moment are just preparing to play against them because that's the only team we know we're definitely playing. So that's a challenge for us in itself. Is Uruguay are the Challenger winners? They go to the World Series next year, so that's a massive incentive for us to show what we can do. And that's the desire of the boys and everybody in the environment to try and, as I said, get our performance out of us that we know we're capable of.
Absolutely, yes. That's going to be my next question, talking about Uruguay, because they love their football as much as they love their rugby. We saw some kicking game in terms of they are playing in that Challenger Series. How are you going to counter that, Paul?
Yeah, you know, it's a question of getting our sweeper in place or getting our defensive system in place where somebody's covering both sides and behind the kick. Uruguay, we played them 3 years ago in the Challenger Series in the semi-final in Uruguay. So we know quite a bit about them, and they like the kicking game. There were some very, very good rugby players who play with their head up and will look for space and will look to kick if the opportunity is there. So we have to ensure that we are covering those areas. It's impossible to cover every area, as you know, on a rugby field. But if our systems are in place, we should be able to cover most of the areas and hopefully take that kicking option away from them because we've got people in place. But that means if we got sweepers in place, that defensive line is doing its job in front and making the tackles and stopping Uruguay getting into space. So it's going to be a difficult game because they got some very good footballers and they're very, very physical in certain areas as well. So look, it's another challenge. We want to be in the top side of the tournament, and that's got to be our aim, is to get a win in our first game and see where that goes after that.
Absolutely. Talking about your team, how is are there any injuries? We witnessed that Max Denmark was outstanding. Not only those 3 tries that he scored, but his defense and attack was menacing. Also, the experience like McCoy, Bryan, and Sayers, are they all fit for this, or is there any injuries still in the squad?
Yeah, the majority of them are fit. Unfortunately, we've lost our captain, Max. He had a bump on the shoulder in a game on day 3, so he unfortunately won't be part of the squad. But the rest of the squad are preparing over here. There's a couple of changes, but we announce it tomorrow. So the players don't know the squad yet. There's 13 people here. We can only pick 12. And to be fair to the players, we want to give them as much notice as we can and see if there's a few niggles and things because we've been away for so long. But there's 13 players here. From that 13, we'll finalise things, that final 12, early this week. So yeah, we're nearly there. That'll be done, as I said, over the next 24, 36 hours.
Great, Paul. We hope that your team will perform really well in Cape Town. Finally, would like to know, what does rugby mean to you, Paul?
Rugby, I suppose, most people involved in rugby. Growing up in an era, I grew up in Wales. Rugby was pretty much the only thing that we did. Living in a local sort of Welsh village, where the main place in the village was a rugby club. My dad coached a rugby club. My dad played for a rugby club. So rugby has been a massive part of my life since probably any memory I have growing up. Was always in and around a rugby team, and rugby was amateur when I started playing. So I was a PE teacher as well, and then I had the opportunity to go professional rugby in '95. So I did that alongside teaching. So, and then eventually went full-time rugby to be a coach after the World Cup in 2008. So rugby is a massive, massive part of my life. Is a massive part of my dad was a coach, international coach and a player. My son's playing rugby now at the moment, back in England. So yeah, rugby is huge. But the only reason why we're able to enjoy it is we've got massive support in and around us with the family and things. So we're privileged to be working in the environment we're working in. Feel very, very lucky, and we do as best as we can, and hopefully it'll last a few more years yet. But it is probably, as you know, it's a huge part of life for sure.
Wonderful, Paul. We know that Gareth Baber did a wonderful, amazing job with Hong Kong, and you have been doing a tremendous job, especially given the COVID obstacle and all coming out of that. And we have witnessed, but great performance in the Challenger Series. With all those positives, we wish you all the very best for the Rugby World Cup Sevens in Cape Town this Friday.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.